My name's Carrie Wallace. I am the founder of FamGuru. I've also been a travel advisor and an agency owner for over 20 years at this point. And I'm here today with Melissa Lopez. She heads our development team in Argentina. So she'll be joining us today for the presentation so she can see what's going on and what questions you all have as we go along today. I love questions. Please feel free to jump in as we're going along. It's meant to be interactive. And I love them because I never know what you're going to ask. And it's always fun to see, to see how things go. But anyway, we're going to be taking you through a demonstration of FamGuru today. And we have some travel suppliers, we have some DMOs in the audience today, and we're going to be sharing how does FamGuru work. We're in to see what it is and how it works, learn how it helps you in what you do with respect to your fam trips, and also understanding how it helps your participants in the trip, whether they get them better prepared for the trip, to, while they're on the trip, better capture and organize what they learn, and then after, how they can use that information to help market your destination or your product or whatever you're responsible for. And hi, Stephanie, good to see you.
And you.
I thought I'd start out with a little bit about why I started FamGuru. And I mean, as an advisor, I've had the good fortune to travel a number of different places around the world on
your audio
fam trips. And but I always found it was really challenging. There's so much information. You're visiting so many hotels, you're dining at different restaurants, you're doing different activities, seeing the whole location. And I found it really hard to take all that information, capture it, and then use it later. And so in a 6-day fam trip to France, for example, I ate at 13 Michelin stars during this trip. And I could not tell you the name of a restaurant that I ate at afterwards. So for an advisor, I was always really challenged to be able to take that information back and bring it to my clients and to sell it as effectively as I wanted to. So I wanted something that I could use while I was traveling to organize what I was learning and then take that knowledge and give it to my clients or share it with my colleagues right when I got back at the press of a button. Why wasn't there an app for that? So I said, well, shoot, there isn't an app for that. So that's how FamGuru started, as an app for the travel advisor and the travel agency. But then I soon realized from the supplier and partner perspective,
alert audio now unmuted.
From the supplier and partner perspective, that you all want us to sell and market what we see as well. So we need another side to FamGuru to help get you organized to interface with the participants so that we can all make this process easier and more lucrative and more fun throughout, because there's a lot of work to make a good trip go off, and we recognize that about our travel supplier partners. So anyway, there's two sides to FamGuru. There's the host side and the advisor side, all with the same end goal in mind. But so what is the system overall? It's a system to manage the FAM process from start to finish. So our technology makes the planning and the execution easier while helping the participants be more organized and more proactive. And so, we have a cross section of people joining us today: hoteliers, DMCs, DMOs, and we all have a process for going through the FAM trip, right? But there isn't necessarily a consistency, or the process is complicated, and we can use technology to simplify that. And that's what FamGuru is all about. So I'm really excited to have you here today to share that with you. And why is it important? Well, FAMs take a lot of time and a lot of money. We need them to be as effective as possible in promoting our travel products and travel destinations. So anyway, so far so good. Yeah. Anyway, hi, Laura. Nice to see you. Today, we're going to be working on the FamGuru website. FamGuru has two parts. We have an app version and we have a web version. Today, for the purposes of this group, it's best, I think, to be working on the web. But please know that you can do basically almost everything on the app that you can do online. So it's mobile as well. So should you need to do something quickly while you're on the trip, you can do that from your phone if you need to. And then advisors can work either way as well. We're going to be talking about how you set up a fam trip within FamGuru. We'll talk about our AI, which takes any itinerary and uploads it and can create the itinerary within FamGuru from a PDF. And then we'll show you a little bit about how it works manually so that you can tweak it. You can add things later once you do your initial upload. We'll be talking about automations, how we make the process easier and how we make the management of information easier for you to cut down on your time and energies. And then show you how to better engage with advisors through the before, during, and after, so that you understand, so that you can create those relationships and those bonds on a lasting basis. And then we'll talk a little bit about, and how do advisors engage while they're on the trip with you, and how do you see what they're engaging with? And then we'll talk a little bit about the future and some other things to do with FamGuru. So how's that for a beginning? Any questions to start? Anything particular interest on anyone's mind today? Okay, great. If that's good, I will go ahead and share my screen and we'll dive right in. So, okay. Okay, can everyone see that? Good. All right. Well, welcome to
We
FamGuru.
can.
Basically, so we're on the web, and what we're looking at is the home screen on FamGuru. It has different components to it. I'll do a quick walkthrough. We have active trips that are happening today or in the future, and then past trips, so you can always refer back to that. And we have notifications. There'll be correspondence and whatnot happening through the platform, and you can see what people are contacting you about, whether it's they've submitted a passport or they've shared some other information that you needed. I'll start by talking a little bit about accounts. So like any software, everybody has an account. And so in here is where we take a bit of information from the people that will be participating in the group. So it is, basic name, details, contacts, emergency contacts, social media information. So this is already within FamGuru. And once they accept your trip within FamGuru, you have access to this information about them because it's info that you need as part of what you're doing, because you're asking this on email and whatnot, or through forms right now. Professional information, just a bit of insight about who they are and what their background is, so that you can share that with people on the ground who need to know. And then, of course, dietary needs. Everybody has those, and you need to collect those and share those with the different people that you're working with, restaurants, hotels, whatnot. So just a little bit about that. Going back to the homepage, let's start by actually creating a trip in FamGuru. Pretty simple to do so. Very little data needed to actually set up the trip. There's a hero image, and we have some stock imagery here. And of course, you can obviously add your own. This will represent the trip to the participants before, during, and even 2 years afterwards, so they can always refer back to it. So it's nice to have a memorable image. And some basic information here. Name of the trip, your organization. You may have multiple organizations. Start date, end date, trip invitation tags. So when you're using FamGuru, you will have already curated your list of participants. And so we need to get them onto the platform. So these are a couple of sentences that you can put within an email. That email is sent out from your name, comes box or the participants inbox, and says, hey, we're working on the FamGuru platform, please get set up. And that will take the participant through a process to get their account set up on FamGuru and to accept your trip within FamGuru. And certainly a description of the trip. These are just a couple of sentences that they'll be able to refer to and always remember what it was that they saw and did when they were with you. So that's all the basic information you need to create a trip. We're actually going to start by talking about the AI feature that we have in FamGuru. So all you have to do if you have a PDF of your basic arrangements is to upload it here, and I'll demonstrate that right now with a very simple PDF. And this is a one-night fam trip, so it's pretty straightforward. And that's reading the document right now. And as it does, pulling all the different activities and hotels and whatnot from the document itself. And it's bringing that in and creating the structure of the trip within FamGuru, so you don't have to do it manually. And so this one, again, very simple. I think that was pretty quick. You choose your organization. I'll choose FamGuru as my organization. And yes, these are our dates. I'm not going to put any trip invitation text for now. Basically, the AI reads it and gives you a trip description, and you can decide to change it if you wish. So let's create it. It actually goes through a secondary step, which we call the extraction step. So this is where you get to double check that the AI did everything more or less correctly. And of course, it's AI, it's not perfect. So we give you the opportunity to say, okay, we could delete this, we could edit this, we could drag and drop and move this around before we create the actual itinerary. And so it's bringing in different aspects. This has done a pretty good job. So we're going to go ahead and go to the creation step. And that will take us into the trip in FamGuru overall. Takes just a moment. You can do up to about 30 pages of PDF. So hopefully most of your trips are not that complicated, but we do know that some people's are. So, so anyway, what we're looking at right now is the trips homepage. We've just created this itinerary, and here is our description. If we want to go edit the dates or anything about it, we can go back to this page, which we've seen before. And what we also have is our hero image and a snapshot of different parts of the trip. So pretty simple to create the trip overall. So far, so good? Any questions? Okay, good. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move into a different trip that's a bit more built out to demonstrate a bit more about some of the details in FamGuru. So we'll go to one over here. And it's obviously the same format, just a different trip. I'd like to start by showing you the itinerary of the trip. So this is what you would have from the AI extraction. And we have different types of elements to a trip. So we can have a hotel stay, a hotel or a hotel inspection, a restaurant, a cruise. I don't think we have any cruise lines here with us today, or an other element. An other element would be it could be a transfer, it could be a flight. My favorite other element is to put destination notes in because, of course, our participants want to take notes and to see what's going on with respect to the hotels, the restaurants, and whatnot. But it's always good to put a little section in here where they can be able to take their notes on a given destination. Now, how does this work? It's very simple. You'll see that I didn't put anything other than just Santa Monica notes and a start time. What are people doing with this? Just so you can see what I'm talking about when we the advisors again or the participants can add their insights. So they're able to see this structure that you've put together. And then you're pushing that out to their app for when they're traveling. And once they're on the trip with you, they can actually take this structure and work with it and create, put their media in it and their impressions. So really in this process, we have two sides to FamGuru. We have what we have called the professional side, which is what you put together in advance, and that can contain all of your hotels, the whole structure, any information you wish for them to always have. And then they're able to add all of their notes, their impressions, their photos in one place. So just looking at what they might do for Santa Monica, they can rate it and also put some public comments about it. We have two sections here, public and private. What does that mean? Public are things that you as the host can see. So if you want to see how your trip members are engaging with parts of the trip, what they're saying, what photos they're uploading, this is what you're able to see from their experience. They also have been very clear with us that they need a private section. They might not want to share every single detail, or there might be a hotel that's a do not sell for them because it's not consistent. So they were clear that they didn't want to share every detail. But we're also trying to get them to think about who is this good for? What is this destination good for? What is this hotel good for? What is this experience good for? What kind of client should they be bringing back to this, or who they might like to be thinking about specifically? Because we want people to realize, yes, this is really cool and it's cool to be here and it's fun, but this is a business trip. We need for them to be thinking ahead to how they're going to position this to their clientele when they return. So just a bit about that. I'll show you also what a hotel looks like, because that's just a bit deeper. And here we have the Regent Santa Monica Beach, for example. And this, I'll actually show you how we add a hotel to the itinerary. That's a better way to start. So let's do a site inspection. This is Google Maps enabled. So we'll do shutters on the beach, which is also in Santa Monica. It pulls in what Google has on file, our map, our web. We'll put a start time for this, which will be 4 p.m. If we have any contacts that we want to add for that property, we can do that. This could be a consortia description or your own description or the hotelier's description. Google doesn't pull in the phone number, but that's easy enough to add. And then we have a couple different screens where you can add photos and videos of the property, or if you're doing any elements within FamGuru, you can add photo and video. And this is something that the participants can use to warm up their social media audiences or save it for marketing purposes later, or to educate themselves. And certainly any files that could be latest press release or spa menu or anything that, list of contacts, whatever you might like to add. And then finally, just a quick check. If this is something you'll use in the future, you can save this to a library so that all is saved for a future trip. And then we just put it in the itinerary. And we might need to do a little drag and drop here. Let's see where that, yep, that fell a little bit later. So we'll just move that up there. And so you can see we have the structure of how a trip is coming together. Now, from the participant point of view, let's go back to our hotel regent. And what do they see under adding their own insights? So we have the general notes section, like we saw before. And so here are some general notes and whatnot that were added. And if they have contacts that they meet on property that they'd like to add that you haven't, they can add that here. As an advisor myself, the rooms were always really challenging. How many times did I come back with 500 hotel room photos and not know what they were? A lot, unfortunately. This is a place where you can actually organize things by room category so you know the actual picture. Any picture in FamGuru can go out on social media or can be downloaded for later use. And so this could be the room that I was staying in, my impressions, any information about it. So it's a nice place to keep things organized, both during the trip, but also for after, because I won't know that that's the junior suite on the second day of the third hotel that day. So that was a this would have been a godsend for me. Food and beverage outlets on a property, wellness, whether that's your spa, your tennis, your golf, and then common areas is the other thing. If you add this, we have a group of things to jog their memory. I'm a family travel specialist. I really should be asking about the kids program. So this is a good way to say, oh, I haven't done that yet. Let me ask my host. So hotels obviously go a bit deeper. Let me just pause for a moment and go back to our itinerary and just see if there's any questions coming up so far. So we're just talking about the creation process, and then how would somebody on your trip actually be able to look at that and reference it and start taking notes and adding their photos for future reference. So far, so good. Any questions? And you're welcome to drop something in the chat, and Melly will certainly be able to share that as well as we go along. Cool. All right. Terrific. So that's just a little bit about the itinerary. We have different features whereby you can duplicate a certain item on the trip. You can delete it from here. You can edit. And if you want to put it in an unpublished mode so no one can see it while you're working on it, you can take it offline so your participants don't see it. All right. If we're good there, let's go over to the members of the trip. So once you have a good skeleton of the itinerary, then I think it's a good time to start inviting people in. We recommend you do this as far in advance of the trip as possible because people need time to get used to it, to understand it. And how does one do that? Going to the invite button, you can either do manual entry by individual email address, or you can do a bulk upload with their email addresses and at the same time. You can choose who this invitation email is going to be coming from. So I could be sending it from I can send it from me, or I could send it from Melissa, for example. And when you do so, you can choose one, or you can choose different categories of participants. Let's just do this. And we'll add that to the list. And that person can either be an admin, that means they can edit the trip in conjunction with you, or they can be a viewer, somebody who just needs to know, or the participant themselves. If you have a bunch of viewers or a bunch of admins that maybe won't be traveling with you and you just want the participants to not see all those people, you can take off their visibility, for example. So just a little bit about that. Now we have our list of participants. We see a column over here called requirements. What is that? Well, oftentimes ahead of a trip, you need a lot of information about people. And so we have a requirement section whereby you can ask them what you need. So for example, that might be their arrival and departure info, could be a passport or another ID, their dietary needs, we always need that, or something else. If they're going to the spa at some point, maybe you need to ask their therapist's gender preference, for example. So the idea here is to take all of this off email, keep it all in one place so you know what's going on and who's doing what, and be able to make it simpler for everyone, and to also understand what's been done, what hasn't been done. For example, in here, passport copy, you can see all of your different participants and what their statuses are. So Carrie's gone ahead and she has submitted her passport and we've approved it already. And if you want to see what that document is, you can come here and there's her passport. Okay, we'll show you a little bit more about how this information comes into play later in a moment. Uh, and or if I uploaded a picture of my very cute dog by accident, then you can deny that submission and request resubmission, for example. So you have control over whether you approve what they if they've complied with the requirement, great. If not, you can tell them sorry, try again. Uh, so that's just a bit about the requirements. What you can also do with a requirement is you can for example, request that this be included in what we call the spreadsheet compilation. What is that? That is where we're taking all the participants' information, compiling it into one spreadsheet that you can share so you don't have to copy and paste things into a spreadsheet. So if we're back on the members tab, I'll just show you how that works. We can export the list. This will create an Excel spreadsheet. It's pulling information from the profile of the participant and also from those requirements that you have decided to include into a spreadsheet. And obviously it needs to, you need to clean it up a little bit. But what we've got are the lists, who they are, their emails, their cities, their contacts, their dietaries here. So that can be shared on a bulk basis with whoever needs to know. And let's see, for example, here's my passport again. Voila, you don't even have to upload it and download it and send it. It's all part of the spreadsheet. So that makes it a bit easier when you're working with your hoteliers and other folks on the ground to share that information. So,
Gary,
and then,
I think we were you showing the spreadsheet?
oh
Because we
goodness,
were
was it not
not.
there? I'm so sorry, people. Oh my
No,
gosh.
that's okay.
All right, you know what? I'm going to do a quick stop of the share and I'm just going to share my entire
No
screen
worries.
and just do that again. Melly, thank you for that.
So that they
Apologies for
can
that.
see.
Oh my gosh, what a
No.
rookie mistake.
Just for them to see how it displays. Yeah.
Okay, let me share this screen then and go to, um, all right. All right, let me just see if you can see try this again. Can you guys see that better this time?
Yes. Now we can.
Hopefully. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So here's that crazy spreadsheet I was talking about, and you were all too polite to tell me I wasn't showing. Um, and so here are participants, their emails, their dietaries, and here's the passport once again. And no need to upload or download that. So thank you, Melly, for letting me know about that.
Of course.
Okay. All right. Well, nothing like a little humor to keep things going. All right. With respect to the members, we can also look at individual members. So let's go to my profile here. If you need to look at anything about me specifically, we have the information that's come over from my profile overall. You can see on an individual basis who is doing their requirements, and if they are not, you might want to be asking, are they coming or not? And you can always resend requirements from the requirements tab as well. And then how are they interacting with the trip? So here is what Carrie's been writing in those public notes about the experiences and what I had to say about my stay at the Regent. And here are some photos that I uploaded, I thought of importance, and my notes about my walking tour in Santa Monica. Santa Monica notes, I just did I just said I liked the destination at 5 stars, and with my cruise, there is my highlights and photos and whatnot as well. So it's nice to see what people are writing as you're going along. You can also use this on more of a bulk basis. And so let's say you have 7 or 8 people on the trip and you want to be able to share, you want to be able to compile that as well. And hopefully now I will have a spreadsheet or a document that shows we have what we call a public notes compilation that goes into docx. And it takes everybody's comments, those public comments, and collates them into one usable document that you can use for your own benefit. Some people are using this as a substitute for a survey afterwards, or other people are using it just to be able to share with their hoteliers and whatnot. Here's a snapshot. And down here we get into, okay, what did Carrie say about Santa Monica? What did Carrie say about the St. Regis? And if you had more people, there would be different, everybody that responded would be correlated into the proper section. I also like this because after you're done, you can anonymize this. So just make Carrie advisor 1 and not show my name and maybe delete any selfies that might have been included. that becomes a really powerful tool for your audience to be able to share. This is what our group said. This is exactly what they said. As you see this content, I could sell from this without having been to the destination. So I think that's highly valuable, both to share with those involved with the trip and to reinforce their learnings, but also with people who maybe haven't necessarily been on the trip itself. Okay. So coming back, any questions so far? Good to go so far? Good. All right. I see some nods, affirmatives. Okay. So that's just a bit about the participants. We'll also look over here at other things on the left-hand side. Let's take a look at what we call the shared media gallery. And so this is a place where you can preload any media that you like about your destination or hotel or what have you. It could be short form video, I think only up to 2 minutes at this point, and also photos. And this is something that the participants can use again for their social media, for their marketing. It's also a place while you're traveling that you can put together where you can share your photos together. So that could be your selfies, that could be your best room photos, that could be your sunset photos, your group photos. And these are considered to be shareable media with everybody. So anybody can come in afterwards, select images for their marketing and use that for their social. We're on kind of a mission to replace the WhatsApp group because with WhatsApp, it's great, but you have to get everybody on it, number one, in the group, and people can leave the group afterwards. And sometimes WhatsApp takes that information, a nice video you might have put there, and after 9 months or a year, puts it on ice and deep storage, so you may not be able to get to it later. Whereas FamGuru, we have the shared media gallery. We do have a chat function that mimics WhatsApp. And so you can chat with the group or you can chat with somebody one-to-one if you wish to, or create a subgroup as you're going along. And all of that media will reside there always. And they can't leave the group. They're part and parcel of this group for forever. So 3 months from now, you might want to go back out and say, hey, it's our 3-month Famiversary. This is what's new, or this is what's happening in Houston in the next quarter that you need to know about. Or it could be a place where somebody on your trip says, oh my gosh, I just read this great article about Houston or the Yucatan. And here's a link to it, everybody see. Or it could be an advisor saying, hey, I just sold your destination. The family is coming in 2 months, and give everybody a little bit of FOMO about the fact that they should be selling it too. So we want to be able to have you engage with them before and during, but also afterwards. So that's one of the things we're working towards with respect to the overall goals of FamGuru. You can also add any files or information. Now we saw the ability to attach that to an element within FamGuru. So if you have any general information, what's on in your destination, what's the temperature profile throughout the year, different festivals that might be happening, you could attach this here. It could also be a dress code, entry requirements, what have you. We talked about requirements, talked about chat. Notification, again, if they're sending over those passports for you to approve or somebody accepted your trip, you would see that here. And then we also have something called broadcast. This is a one-way message. So if you just want to convey information, you don't necessarily want to start a full-blown chat thread, you can do that here. Okay, bags in the lobby at 8:15, we're leaving at 8:30. So very easy to be able to communicate. And the participants will receive a pop-up in their app, and they will also receive an email for that. And they're getting different notifications along the way with respect to chat, with respect to other things in the platform too. So that's just a bit about the structure of the platform overall. Questions at this point? Anything coming up? All right. Hopefully I'm doing a good job explaining. I can't show spreadsheets apparently, but
You are.
Yeah, you're doing a really good job. This looks like an awesome platform. So
cool. Thank you, Daniel.
yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you for saying that.
Very
So we're one other thing I just want to talk about. We talked about that compilation earlier. If we go back to trip details, which is our trip homepage, essentially, we have a series of actions here. We can go to edit. We could archive this if we just don't want to see it on our screens anymore. You can always duplicate a trip. So if it's rinse and repeat for all of you who are in a given destination and it's happening time and time again, you can duplicate the trip and just modify by the dates and tweak it a bit. We also have an export trip report in 2 formats. So it's similar to the notes compilation, but this would be, for example, for the participant. And you, of course, are a participant. You can export all of your notes, and I'll show you the PDF version. And it's essentially pulling together the snapshot of the overall itinerary, like we saw before, and then bringing in the professional portion, what you've included as part of the itinerary, plus all of their notes and insights. They can share that with anybody that they want within their organization. Now, that not everything comes to you as you, wow, I guess this is taking a little while, but not everything comes to you.
Yeah.
But they might choose to share it with you, for example. So let's just take a look at what this looks like. Bring that over. Bear with me. It's not coming over. Hang on a second. Come on over. There we go. Okay. So it pulls it in, and here's our hero image, our compilation of the itinerary. And starting down here, we have Santa Monica notes, what I thought and who I thought it was good for to remind myself. Here's our hotel stay information, the preloaded information and contacts. And now into my public notes, my photos, my experiences, all the way down to my actual room information and what I thought about them and the common areas, et cetera, et cetera. So this is something that I can come back and share with my whole agency. If you're, whoever your audience is, I can do it in a docx and I can share portions of it with a given client or whoever needs to see it. So this was one of the hardest parts for me. That's so much information. This is the click of the button that I always wanted to be able to generate that report that I wanted to share. So the idea is to take all and 10x, 100x who they can expose their insights to after the trip, because that's what we want. It's you invested in that one person, but they need to be able to go do good things on your behalf. One of which is selling or promoting, but also it's sharing to that wider audience as well. So, okay. Oops, let me see. It looks like we lost my FamGuru here. There we go. So let's I think I've shown the main functions. I mean, we're really just getting started. There's so many more things we can do with the AI to be able to help people capture that using an audio AI as they're going along on the trip, and to be able to automatically populate that into FamGuru or automatically generate 5 social media posts that they can use right then and there about what they're saying within the app to be able to do their own promotion. So there are so many ways we can continue to use technology to be able to, number one, take the pain and hassle and time out of the organizing process to promote that camaraderie and that collection of information while you're actually traveling, and then to be able to use all of that afterwards to everybody's benefit, right? Questions? If not, I'll start to wind things down a little bit here and just talk a little bit about the future. Great. So a couple of things that we will be working on for the future. We oftentimes get asked, does this work offline? Well, very good question. Most apps do not work offline. They can capture a little bit of information. You can capture that one Instagram post and put it back up when you go back online. This one, we intend to do that. It's an important process, because if an advisor spends 2 hours on their flight putting all their information in their FamGuru when they're offline, it better be bulletproof when you get to the ground and you try to sync up to the cloud, right? So we are working on that. It is a bit of a process, but that's something that we know will be very helpful, especially if you're in and out of Wi-Fi zones. That can be challenging. If you do happen to run into that on a trip, what I recommend is that people still take their note or take their photos, and then at a coffee break, just sit down when you have some good Wi-Fi, come back to it, get quickly organized, and continue on. So we know Wi-Fi is not perfect. We'll be working on it. We have about 5,000 users in FamGuru right now. We'll be working on the ability for a person who's a member of host who's a member of FamGuru to be able to use our database to see who they might want to invite to their next trip. So that's something that is on the radar screen. And also to do, using more AI for the advisors to be able to capture and use that for marketing purposes. And then looking at a module for FamGuru for agencies in the travel agencies are very interested. Why is that? Because they want to share this knowledge with their entire group. So not only being able to share a report, but being able to say, come in and mine that information and say, okay, it could be a certain advisor. I haven't been to the Yucatan. I have clients who are like this. What have my colleagues seen that I can tap into and learn about for that particular destination, to be able to mine that from an AI basis as well. Ultimately, we want to be doing tools for tracking your ROI, because you're investing this money. ROI is a hot topic in our industry right now, to be able to say, what are we getting from a given trip? It's awesome when somebody comes back and writes that article or makes an immediate booking, but it doesn't always show up right away. So how do we actually track that over time? And that's something that we'll be doing. We're also seeing use of this, oddly, in road shows and small conferences. So our clients and our users are coming to us and saying, I think I could use this for other things. So one of our clients is Preferred Hotels. They've used it for road shows. They're bringing 10 hoteliers up the West Coast of the US, and they have a lot of cats to organize, just like we have a lot of people to organize on a fam trip. And so it works very well anytime anytime people are convening in a destination, they need to have information, they need to learn, and they need to be able to extract that information later. So we're seeing that. We also have another client who's called Travel Pivots. It's a small travel conference that happens in Scottsdale in the summer. And so they've been using it as well for that purpose. So that's just there's so much more to come. We're really excited about it. And I'm thank goodness for Millie and her team, because they're the ones that are making it all happen from the technology perspective. I'm just the travel advisor, not the coder. So I'm grateful for all of them. If there's no burning questions at the moment, I'll talk just a little bit about our revenue model, because everybody wants to know about that. How do we make money? How does this all work, right? So generally, the way it works is it's a subscription basis. So with our travel supplier and DMO partners, the subscriptions can be done annually or monthly. On an annual basis, our starting subscriptions are about $15.50 a year, and depending on your usage, may go up from there. And you can use it internally too. So if you're a travel supplier and you have people that are going out for product scouting, that's another good use for it. So something to keep in mind. And everyone can try it for free. We recognize that you need to put hands on, you need to sometimes run a whole trip to understand how it actually works and what the interplay with the participants really is. And so right now we have trials going on with New York City Tourism, their PR department, and we also have Las Vegas doing a trial right now. And Scenic Cruises is doing a trial. So that's just a bit about the DMO and the travel supplier part of things. Advisors and participants are complementary. There's always going to be a complementary subscription for them. You invite them into the trip. Anybody you invite into a trip, whether it's one of your colleagues or a hotel partner, they can use FamGuru for free. They're not the organizer of the trip, so you just bring them in and they can see what they need to see, or if they're an admin, they can add their hotel information if that's what you want. Advisors always have the opportunity to have a complimentary account. They're doing some of their own self-directed trips. They may be visiting you, but maybe not on a formal trip. We also have a premium version for them if they want to be able to travel with other people and share their FamGuru. Also, there'll be added AI features for the advisors on the premium version. So, and ultimately, we also we have our first agency subscriber as well. They come out of Australia, Emma Whiting Travel. And I think the Australians are particularly keen from an agency perspective, because they're really far away. And so they don't get off the island quite as much as the rest of us could easily bop around North America, for example. And so it's super important that they bring that knowledge back and share it with everybody else on the team. So that's it, and it can be done everything can be done on a monthly basis as well as an annual basis as well. So we have 5,000 users currently, like I said. Some of our clients, like I mentioned, Preferred Hotels, Four Seasons Hawaii is another one of our clients, Ultimate Jet Vacations, Bennett Mercado, and Calliope Collective, which are representation companies. We have a DMC in India called Pearson Leslie. So those are just a few examples, and we have more giving it consideration every day. So any questions from here? I think I'll probably stop the sharing of my screen for right now and see if there's anything that is coming to mind at this point. Otherwise, I'll start to wrap things up.
I think this is a great platform, like I mentioned earlier, and I think it would be really beneficial. For instance, with us in Houston, we have so many moving parts when it comes to a FAM. Basically, Laura and Michelle are our
Audio.
in-house
Right?
FAM
Alert
gurus.
audio now
You're
unmuted.
saints.
Yeah,
Gallery video
Laura
renders.
basically
Yes.
Zero.
plans every. I'm getting feedback. I'm not sure. Laura plans everything. She builds all the itineraries, and then Michelle actually leads all of our FAMs. But
Okay.
there's so many internal processes that take place. Like when Laura builds the itinerary, it goes through so many of us for reviews and edits and changes and suggestions. I can really see how a model like this could make that simpler, bring it all together and let everybody come to one place to kind of see and provide their feedback, which is really cool.
Exactly. I mean, the other one of the nice things too is let's say you just need to make a tweak
Uh-huh.
at any point in the whole process, even on the trip, you do it on your side, whether it's your app or on your computer, it automatically transfers out to the participants' app. So they have a real-time itinerary of everything that's going on. So we know things change. Lunch
Yeah.
changes from, by half an hour all the time when, site inspections run long or whatever. And so the idea was so that you don't have to send 15 and you don't have to print anything. We do find it works best if you're willing to give it a try as the overall platform for the trip. In other words, not using WhatsApp. If the participants are switching back and forth, that becomes challenging and they're going to default to what they know best. And because
Yeah.
people are still getting to know FamGuru, they'll stick to WhatsApp if given the choice. So if for those brave enough to do it, they found it to work really well. There's been really good discourse and everybody is able to save their photos. And if you put the photo in the chat, you can also choose to share it to the group gallery, or it remains in the chat, even if they don't share it to the group gallery. So we're trying to take all those different platforms, whether that's a spreadsheet, email, the photo circle, WhatsApp, itinerary program, and bring it all into one for the purposes of this on-site gathering, whether it's a fam trip, a press trip, or influencer trip, whatever you call it, and make it a lot easier for all of us ultimately. And hopefully the benefit will come out the other side with better,
Alert
better,
audio now
well-versed
unmuted.
participants.
Yeah.
Gallery
Yeah.
video renders. Use
Definitely.
arrow key to navigate.
I think we
and
did
press
do a
tab for
demo a
more
while
options.
back, Carrie, and I think
Pane.
I
Content
had,
left panel.
we were at that
Zoom
point,
meeting
Daniel,
window.
where we were kind of like going through budget challenges and stuff. And so
Sure.
definitely want to bring this back up to Chandra. I think it's a wonderful app and um, I think it's a great opportunity for us as well.
Yeah,
So.
I agree.
David, Daniel, sorry, what is your role within the FAM world within the
So
organization?
I am an associate director of product development, but the way we're structured here in Houston, I have two colleagues and we each have basically our own individual markets. So I oversee Europe, Asia Pacific, Australia, New Zealand, and then the luxury market.
Okay.
My colleague Claudia does Mexico and Latin America. And then we have actually an open position we're trying to fill right now. One of my colleagues just left, but that person will oversee domestic, basically Canada, North America, and then also India.
Right.
So we all have our markets divided up. So we bring in FAM groups, tour operators, travel agents from all of our respective countries.
Right.
And then Laura kind of helps build these tailored itineraries to that market, right? So whenever we bring these groups in, she builds a new itinerary for every single FAM. And then once they get here, I meet with them several times. If it's my market, I'll meet with them several times. But Michelle is with them basically from like beginning to end. So she takes the lead on the actual on-site part. So that's kind of how it works with our FAM processes here in Houston.
Got it. Well, I can totally appreciate the extensive nature of it. I will say that with we have our power users right now within FamGuru, they're saving 30 to 50% of the time organizing their FAMs right now is what they're telling us. And so by bringing it all together and not having to reinvent the wheel every time, and certainly Laura, you're not reinventing the wheel completely, but there's still a lot of moving pieces on lots of platforms. So hopefully we're simplifying that process. And Stephanie, I'm curious, Stephanie's in the insurance industry, and so I'm curious what your interest in joining us today. I'm glad to see you.
Just like to know all the things about what my partners experience. And I know for the most part, I work with tour operators and travel agencies from that angle, but I'm curious as to how this could be useful for me if I'm going to a destination and I want to connect with as many potential advisors, especially ICs, in a destination as possible in one trip and maximize my time. I don't know. I mean, I'm just kind of curious whether I could share your information with my customers, or I was just curious.
Why don't we, maybe you and I should have a separate
Yeah.
conversation about that, just to do a little bit of brainstorming, because I'd be
I like
curious
that.
what's, who knows what might come out of it. And I've certainly been thinking, even people going on fam trips need insurance, right?
Right.
There's
Well,
always that
and
angle, right? And they
there's
should have
that,
it, because they never
that's
know
their,
what'll
that
happen.
requirements section. I was thinking, oh, how useful. Plug in
Requirements, we
your,
require that you have insurance to come to your trip.
or
There's
that
always
you,
that.
or that you say yes or no to insurance. And is
Sure.
there, would there be an ability to put a link in there?
Yeah, maybe. We could definitely talk
I
about
don't know.
that.
So anyway, that kind of thing. But the other question I had is, what is your, do you have, can you speak to the security of the information? Because it's all about PCI compliance and in my world of compliance. So can you speak to that? And then also like if Houston's competing with Omaha, where I live, for the same audience of people, like
Mhm.
how has FamGuru looked at that?
How does that
as far as-
wall, where are the walls, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, if you're on one trip, you cannot see the information from the other trip. You have, it's contained within your trip. That group shares that information. So Houston could not tap into Omaha to see what's going on over there, and do so an individual participant might have gone on multiple trips, and they will always be able to see their different current and past trips. But that's not open to another audience. So people who are hosting fam trips can't see each other's fam trips, for example. So that is definitely walled off. From an overall PCI perspective, Melly would know the actual certifications better than I will, but as far as to my knowledge, we are at the top level of security, so that we are not, so that it's not being hacked. And she's forever telling me we can't do things because of security reasons. So I appreciate her strong, and our team's strong knowledge around that. It's also the participants, if they're sharing a passport with you as well, they have the opportunity to tick a box that says, after the trip is over, retract this information from my host, because you don't need that after the trip. It serves a purpose for 5 days, but you don't need that afterwards. So for their own peace of mind and to have more control of their information, that is also the case. So please know that we get a lot of questions about that. Go ahead, Laura.
For like our UK groups as well, there's a lot of, Daniel can speak to this as well, as, a lot of regulations in terms of sharing their contact information and stuff like that. How do we manage through that process? So like when they're signing up, like we can't have access to their emails and stuff. So,
I think I want to discuss it a little bit further with you in terms of, are we talking about GDPR type of things and whatnot?
yeah.
And so, I mean, the FamGuru does go based on an email invitation. So presumably, this audience already to a certain extent, right?
Mhm.
And so that
Sure.
is, sorry?
Sort of. So with us, I just want to add on to that real quick, because it might add some more insight to what you're trying to explain. We also have agencies. So we have representation agencies in a lot of our countries.
Sure.
So for instance, specifically with the UK, we work with Black Diamond, and we have a dedicated account director, and then we have an account executive. So we have 2 representatives with Black Diamond. They pull together basically the guests that they want to bring on the FAMs based on if it's a luxury FAM, if we want just travel agents, if we want just
They're
tour
curating
operators.
the list on your behalf.
Yeah. And then they handle the correspondence with those people before they come here. However, I think with this, the way that we would circumvent the sharing of the email addresses, basically like my account rep, Lauren, she would organize the FAM, she would do the communication with them, and then she could send out the FamGuru invite. But then once they accept that, that's them relinquishing their email address information to us. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. So she's the one with the relationships. That email is coming from her initially. The inviting email will say her name, so that they know that it's coming from that person. And then once they come onto the platform, it's like any other software platform. If they choose to participate in it, then they understand the terms and conditions of that.
Perfect. Yeah, actually, and I'm glad you brought that up, Laura, because we've had challenges, gathering those email addresses before in the past, and this would provide a solution to that as well.
From Stephanie Wessel to everyone. Will I be able to share this recorded session with my
Oh, this is AI
organization after
talking
this
to
Zoom?
us. I thought that was we should learn how to I should learn how to turn that off. I've actually never had it happen before. All
Me
sorts of cool
neither.
things happening today.
Yeah.
So yes, what I'm going to be doing is for everybody who is on this session, I will be sending out a link to the recording so that you can share this with whoever you would like, and a couple other pieces of information to share with you, and then I'd welcome the opportunity to speak with everyone, on a more one-to-one basis afterwards. Having seen what it is and deciding if it's something of interest, we could certainly carry the conversation a bit further from here.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, I'm just going to do one last screen share, and this one right here. Can everyone see this? Just
Terry Wallace has started screen
oh goodness, we
sharing.
have got to
Double-click
turn that
enter
off.
full screen mode. Alert
All right.
viewing Terry Wallace's screen. Alert Terry.
Thanks. Okay, alert Carrie Wallace
There
to
we
turn
go.
off the Zoom AI. So we have an advisor seminar coming up later this morning, and so we will be figuring that out in the next 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So if you want to schedule a follow-up call with me, I'll put this link in the email as well. You have the opportunity to do a complimentary trip if you want to see how to experience it, or just put hands on it and play with it a little bit and try the AI and whatnot. And it's really easy to sign up and create your account, whether that's on our web platform or through the App Store. We're just here to support you. We want you to try it. We're keen on your questions and would love to take the conversation further from here. So,
Excellent.
okay.
Perfect.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate you being here. And I will
Thank
be in
you.
touch with follow-up. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Carrie.
everyone.
Take
Bye.
care.